Mr. Harrison was a man of immense wealth, but his life was marked by a deep sense of emptiness. Over the years, he had achieved great success and accumulated vast riches, but none of it brought him joy. His grand estate, adorned with polished marble floors, priceless artwork, and ornate furniture, was a symbol of his affluence. Yet, despite its grandeur, the house lacked warmth and the laughter that makes a place feel like home. A decade earlier, Mr. Harrison had lost his wife, and with no children to fill the halls with energy, his life had become a solitary existence. The vast mansion was silent, save for the ticking of an old grandfather clock that echoed through its empty rooms. Even his loyal butler, James, had retired recently, leaving behind a small, detached staff that managed the estate with cold efficiency. Each day followed the same predictable routine. Mr. Harrison would wake early and have breakfast alone, flipping through the morning news with little interest. Afterward, he would wander the halls of his mansion, memories tugging at him with each step. He often recalled the joyful times he had shared with his late wife, holidays filled with laughter, small gatherings with friends, and quiet moments of love. Those memories now felt distant, as if they belonged to another lifetime. One of the few activities he still looked forward to was his afternoon visit to a modest cafe in a lively neighborhood. Unlike the luxury he was accustomed to, the cafe was simple, filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and pastries. There, he would sit by the window, watching the bustle of life outside. He observed young couples, families, and groups of friends, their laughter and camaraderie stirring a fleeting sense of connection in him. But as soon as he left the cafe, the loneliness crept back in, enveloping him like an old, unwelcome companion. On a rainy afternoon, Mr. Harrison found himself in his usual spot by the cafe window, a warm cup of coffee in hand. As he watched people rushing by under their umbrellas, his attention was drawn to a young girl who had just entered. She appeared to be about 10 years old, her clothes slightly too large and her shoes scuffed, suggesting a life of modest means. Despite her worn appearance, her eyes sparkled with determination as she approached the counter, clutching a crumpled handful of money. Intrigued, Mr. Harrison leaned in to listen as the girl quietly ordered a small pizza, her voice filled with excitement. But when the cashier calculated the total, her face fell. She counted and recounted her money with small, trembling fingers, but it was clear she didn't have enough. "I'm sorry, sweetheart, you're a bit short," the cashier said kindly. The girl's cheeks flushed with embarrassment and she murmured, "I thought I had enough. It's for my mom's birthday. She loves pizza, and I wanted to surprise her." A wave of empathy surged through Mr. Harrison. The girl's heartfelt gesture and her obvious determination to bring joy to her mother stirred something within him, something long dormant. Without hesitation, he stood and walked over to the counter. Gently, he placed a bill on top of her coins. "Let me cover the rest," he said with a warm smile. The girl looked up at him, her wide eyes filled with surprise and gratitude. For a moment, she seemed too stunned to speak, but then she whispered softly, "Thank you, sir. Really, thank you." Mr. Harrison waved off her thanks as if to say it was nothing. "What's your name?" he asked kindly. "Lily," she replied, clutching the pizza box as though it were a precious treasure. "It's nice to meet you, Lily. Is it really your mom's birthday?" he asked, curious about the tenderness in her gesture. She nodded earnestly, a bright smile breaking through her initial shyness. In that moment, something shifted in Mr. Harrison's heart. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose, an inkling that perhaps he could fill the emptiness in his life by reaching out to others. Lily nodded, her face lighting up with a shy but bright smile. "Yes, she can't walk very well, so she stays at home most of the time. I thought a pizza might make her happy. It's her favorite, and she hasn't had it in such a long time." The simplicity of her wish and the innocence in her words struck a chord deep within Mr. Harrison. Here was a child who had so little but was willing to give everything she had to bring a small moment of joy to her mother. It reminded him of his younger days, when he still believed in the power of small, meaningful gestures, before life became consumed by profits and deals. "You're a very thoughtful daughter," he said gently, offering her a warm smile. "Your mother is lucky to have you." Lily's expression softened, and she looked down bashfully. "She does so much for me, even though it's hard for her. I just wanted to do something nice for her birthday." A wave of warmth washed over Mr. Harrison, and he felt an inexplicable need to continue this connection. It was as if this encounter had awakened a part of him that he thought had long since withered. After a brief pause, he asked, "Do you and your mother live nearby?" Lily hesitated, her eyes briefly flickering to the floor, then nodded. "Yes, not too far, just a few streets over." "Would you mind if I joined you for the walk home?" he asked, surprising even himself with the suggestion. I'd love to meet the woman who raised such a kind daughter." Lily looked at him uncertainly at first, but something in his gentle tone and kind expression reassured her. Shyly, she nodded, and together they stepped out of the cafe. Mr. Harrison held an umbrella over them as they walked through the misty streets. As they strolled, Lily spoke about her mother, explaining that she had been injured in an accident years ago and had trouble moving. Being an only child, Lily had learned to take care of many household chores, from shopping to cooking, to help her mother. Yet, she didn't seem to view these responsibilities as burdens. Her voice carried a natural pride and love whenever she spoke of her mother. Mr. Harrison listened intently, his heart swelling with admiration and a twinge of sadness. The more she talked, the more he realized how disconnected his own life had been from such genuine, human connections. Lily's life was filled with challenges he couldn't fathom, yet she remained full of love and hope. In contrast, he had surrounded himself with wealth but had long ago lost a sense of purpose. When they reached Lily's modest apartment building, she paused at the entrance and looked up at him with a grateful smile. "Thank you again, sir. My mom will be so happy." Mr. Harrison returned her smile. "I'm glad I could help, Lily. Perhaps I could visit again sometime and bring another pizza?" Lily's eyes lit up at the suggestion, but she quickly tempered her excitement, nodding modestly. "I think she'd really like that." He watched as she disappeared into the building, the pizza box held tightly in her small hands, her silhouette fading into the dim hallway. For a long moment, Mr. Harrison stood outside, his heart full of a warmth he hadn't felt in years. That brief encounter had stirred something deep within him, a realization that he still had the capacity to care, to give, and perhaps to find meaning beyond the solitude of his mansion. As he turned to leave, he knew this wasn't the end. The connection he had felt with Lily was too profound to ignore. It planted a seed of change within him, a yearning to share his life and perhaps, in doing so, rediscover a sense of purpose. "I just want to make things a little easier for you and your mom," Mr. Harrison said with a gentle smile. Lily hesitated for a moment but then took the envelope reluctantly, murmuring another heartfelt thank you before leaving the cafe. As he watched her walk away, Mr. Harrison felt an unfamiliar sense of fulfillment, as if helping her had given him a reason to look forward to the days ahead. In the days that followed, a routine naturally formed between them. Every afternoon, Mr. Harrison would wait at the cafe, and before long, Lily would arrive, her face lighting up with joy upon seeing him. They would sit together and talk about everything, from her school days to her dreams for the future. Lily opened up about her mother's struggles, explaining how her mom worked hard to provide her with a normal life despite significant challenges. She shared that her mother, once a talented dancer, had been partially paralyzed in a car accident years earlier. Since then, her mother had taken up small jobs from home, relying on Lily's help with daily tasks. Mr. Harrison listened closely, captivated by Lily's resilience and unwavering devotion. He admired her ability to find joy in the face of hardship and was deeply moved by the pride and love she felt for her mother. The more he learned, the more invested he became in their lives. Quietly, he began finding ways to support them. He would arrange for grocery deliveries, pay for her school supplies, and even slip small amounts of money into her coat pocket without her noticing. Each small gesture brought a sense of purpose to Mr. Harrison's days, a stark contrast to the cold emptiness of his mansion. Over time, their bond grew stronger. Mr. Harrison became a comforting and supportive presence in Lily's life, almost like a grandfather figure. In return, Lily brought him a joy he hadn't felt in years. She would ask him questions about his own life, listening with fascination as he shared stories about his travels, his younger years, and his late wife. Unlike others, Lily didn't care about his wealth or status. She valued him simply as a kind and trustworthy friend. One afternoon, while they shared a slice of cake at the cafe, Mr. Harrison asked, "Lily, have you ever thought about what you'd like to be when you grow up?" Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she answered, "I want to be a nurse, like the kind lady who helps my mom. She's always so nice and makes my mom feel better. I want to help people too." Mr. Harrison felt a surge of pride and affection. "That's a wonderful dream, Lily," he said warmly. "I have no doubt you'll make an incredible nurse one day." The moments they spent together became the highlight of Mr. Harrison's life. Each morning, he woke up with a renewed sense of enthusiasm, eagerly anticipating their conversations. The loneliness that had once weighed so heavily on him began to dissipate, replaced by the warmth and light that Lily brought into his world. Even as their friendship blossomed, Mr. Harrison remained discreet in his support. He wanted to help without making Lily or her mother feel indebted to him. For him, it wasn't just about giving gifts, it was about rediscovering the joy and meaning that came from helping others. One afternoon, as Lily left the cafe, a thought crossed Mr. Harrison's mind. What would he do if she ever stopped coming? The idea unsettled him. For the first time in years, he had someone to care for, someone whose presence gave his life purpose. The thought of losing that connection filled him with a quiet fear, but he quickly brushed it aside, choosing instead to savor each moment they shared. As winter approached, Mr. Harrison decided to surprise Lily with a special gift. He found a beautifully illustrated book on nursing and medicine, a rare and inspiring find that he knew she would treasure. He wrapped it carefully, his heart brimming with anticipation as he waited at the cafe, eager to see her reaction. When Lily arrived and unwrapped the gift, her face lit up with pure joy. Hugging the book tightly to her chest, she exclaimed, "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. This is the best gift I've ever received." Seeing her delight, Mr. Harrison felt a surge of emotion. Lily's happiness had become his own, and for the first time in years, he felt truly alive. Day by day, his affection for her grew deeper, and he began to see her as the family he had lost long ago. For now, he was content with the quiet role he played in her life, knowing he was part of something real and meaningful. In Lily's laughter, her stories, and her boundless gratitude, Mr. Harrison found echoes of the love he thought was gone forever. In her, he discovered a hope that maybe, just maybe, his life still held the promise of happiness. One chilly winter afternoon, Mr. Harrison arrived at the cafe and took his usual seat by the window. But this time, something felt off. He glanced at the clock and realized Lily was late. She was never late, even in bad weather or when her responsibilities at home piled up. Hours passed, and yet there was no sign of her. By the following day, Mr. Harrison's concern had grown into worry. The cafe, usually filled with her laughter and stories, now felt painfully empty. He asked the staff if anyone had seen her, but no one had. As several days passed with no word, his worry turned into fear. His heart grew heavy with a gnawing dread that something terrible might have happened to the little girl who had brought meaning back into his life. Determined to find her, Mr. Harrison began asking around her neighborhood. Finally, one of the neighbors recognized Lily's name and explained in a hushed, sympathetic tone that she had fallen gravely ill. She was in the hospital, and her condition was deteriorating. Mr. Harrison's face paled as he listened, his heart pounding with a panic he hadn't felt in years. Without hesitation, he rushed to the hospital. When he arrived, he found Lily's mother sitting in the hallway. Her face was pale and drawn, her hands clasped tightly together in silent prayer. She looked up, startled, as Mr. Harrison approached. Her tired eyes were filled with exhaustion and despair. "Are you Lily's friend?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mr. Harrison nodded gently. "Yes, I am. I met her at the cafe. She's told me so much about you. I came to see if there's anything I can do to help." Her eyes brimmed with tears as she explained Lily's condition. The little girl had contracted a severe infection, and despite the doctor's best efforts, her health was worsening. She needed extensive treatment, but the costs were far beyond what her mother could afford. Desperation laced her words as she admitted she had no one else to turn to and was terrified of losing her daughter. Mr. Harrison felt a deep ache in his chest as he listened. This brave little girl, who had given everything she had to bring joy to her mother, was now fighting for her life. And her mother, so full of love and strength, was powerless to help her. Without a moment's hesitation, Mr. Harrison spoke, his voice steady but full of emotion. "Please, allow me to cover the medical expenses," he said softly. "I want to make sure Lily gets the best treatment available." Lily's mother stared at him, her expression a mix of shock and overwhelming gratitude. "But why? Why would you do this for us?" she whispered, unable to grasp his generosity. Mr. Harrison took a deep breath. He knew this was the moment to reveal the truth. "Because Lily means the world to me," he admitted, his voice cracking. "She brought something back into my life that I thought I'd lost forever. Hope, kindness, purpose. I've been helping her quietly, trying not to intrude on your lives. But now, you deserve to know who I really am." Mr. Harrison explained how he had met Lily through a simple act of kindness, helping her buy a pizza, and how that small moment had blossomed into a deep and meaningful connection. He revealed that he had been quietly supporting them in small ways, from arranging groceries to covering school supplies and other expenses anonymously. As he spoke, Lily's mother's tears grew, touched by the depth of his care and devotion. "She saved me in a way I can't fully explain," Mr. Harrison said, his voice thick with emotion. "Please, let me help her now. It's the least I can do for all the joy she's brought into my life." Lily's mother finally broke down, letting out a small sob as she nodded in gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "Thank you for everything." With Mr. Harrison's support, Lily was moved to a better facility where she received the treatment she desperately needed. The doctors spared no effort in her care, administering advanced therapies and monitoring her progress around the clock. Mr. Harrison visited her every day, sitting by her bedside and holding her hand as she fought to regain her strength. Even when she drifted in and out of consciousness, he stayed, speaking softly to her and willing her to recover. His heart broke every time he saw her struggle, but he remained steadfast. In those quiet moments by her side, Mr. Harrison was reminded of the emptiness that had consumed him before Lily came into his life. For the first time in years, he found himself praying that she would recover, that he would see her smile again, and that the little girl who had given him a second chance at life would have a chance to live hers fully. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, Lily began to show signs of improvement. Her strength returned, and the color came back to her cheeks. The day she finally opened her eyes and looked up at Mr. Harrison, he felt an overwhelming wave of relief. Tears slid down his face as she managed a faint smile. "Mr. Harrison," she whispered hoarsely, her voice warm despite its weakness. "You stayed. Thank you." He squeezed her hand, smiling through his tears. "Of course I stayed, Lily. I'll always be here for you." From the corner of the room, Lily's mother placed her hand gently on Mr. Harrison's shoulder, her gratitude so profound it was beyond words. In that quiet hospital room, as Lily began to heal, a bond was solidified, one built not on blood, but on love, resilience, and the kindness of a lonely man who had found his way back to happiness through the heart of a little girl. As they sat together, Mr. Harrison knew his life had been forever changed. Lily was no longer just a friend or someone he had helped, she had become like a granddaughter to him. Her happiness and well-being were now as important as his own. In this realization, he found a peace that had eluded him his entire life, a fulfillment no wealth could buy and no luxury could replace. In Lily's recovery, Mr. Harrison saw a chance for redemption. He realized that the greatest joy in life comes not from what one possesses, but from the lives we touch. Her recovery marked a new beginning, not just for her, but for him as well. Each day, he looked forward to their time together and cherished the laughter, warmth, and light that Lily and her mother brought into his life. The sterile emptiness of his mansion felt like a distant memory. In its place was a simple, fulfilling existence he could never have imagined. After Lily was released from the hospital, Mr. Harrison became an integral part of their lives. He helped her with her studies, shared meals with them, and celebrated the small, everyday moments that felt far more meaningful than the grand parties he had once hosted. Lily's mother often expressed her gratitude, but Mr. Harrison would simply smile and reassure her that he was exactly where he wanted to be. Over time, he realized that the greatest wealth he possessed was not his fortune, but the relationships he had built. He had spent so many years amassing material riches, only to discover that true happiness lay in the simple act of giving and being there for others. Lily and her mother had given him something he hadn't known he needed, a family. They loved him not for his money, but for the kindness he had shown them. Moved by the strength of their bond, Mr. Harrison knew his life's purpose had been rewritten through the unlikeliest of friendships. With their bond growing deeper each day, Mr. Harrison made a life-changing decision. He wanted to be closer to Lily and her mother, sharing not only the joyful moments but also the challenges they faced together. He sold his vast, empty mansion and purchased a modest house just down the street from Lily's family. Though the home was simple, it was filled with warmth, laughter, and the promise of shared moments that had become the cornerstone of his newfound happiness. For the first time in decades, Mr. Harrison woke each morning with purpose. His days were filled with love and companionship. He often sat in his small garden with Lily, listening to her talk about her dreams of becoming a nurse and her plans to help others the way she and her mother had been helped. These conversations stirred memories of his own youthful aspirations, long buried under years of isolation and the pursuit of wealth. Through Lily's enthusiasm, he felt a renewed sense of vitality. In his final years, Mr. Harrison came to realize he had found something far more precious than all the riches he had once possessed. Though his health declined and his fortune dwindled by choice, his spirit thrived, alive with joy. Surrounded by Lily and her mother, he had created a family bound not by blood but by love, respect, and shared experiences, qualities no amount of money could ever buy. One evening, as they sat together in his cozy living room, Lily took his hand and looked at him with a serious expression. "Mr. Harrison," she said softly, "do you know you're the best friend I've ever had?" He chuckled and squeezed her hand gently. "And you, my dear, have given me the greatest gift I could ever ask for. A reason to live each day with joy." Their laughter filled the room, and in that moment, Mr. Harrison knew he had found everything he had been searching for his entire life. The years spent alone in his grand but lifeless estate now seemed like a distant memory. He was finally living in the present, his heart full, surrounded by the love and companionship he had always longed for. As the days passed, their bond only grew stronger. Mr. Harrison took great comfort in knowing that he had left behind a legacy of kindness and love. In his twilight years, he discovered that true wealth lay not in material possessions but in the lives he had touched, the family he had created from unexpected connections, and the simple, profound joys of giving. In the end, Mr. Harrison's journey came full circle. He spent his remaining days at peace, knowing that he had found a home not in bricks or luxury but in the hearts of those he loved. As he looked into Lily's bright eyes, he understood that his life, once cold and empty, had been transformed into something truly beautiful. It became a story of redemption, friendship, and the transformative power of love. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey of kindness, connection, and the joy of giving. This story reminds us that the greatest treasures in life are often found in the relationships we nurture and the lives we touch. If this story moved you, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever met someone who changed your life in an unexpected way? We'd love to hear your story.